All right, let's dive into something really fascinating. We're talking about the four Purusharthas.
Oh, those are great.
These are like ancient life goals, right?
Yeah.
Straight from Vedic philosophy. So we've got Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha.
Yes.
Now, you might be thinking, ancient wisdom, what's that got to do with my life today?
Right.
But trust me, these ideas are surprisingly relevant
Oh, yeah.
to the modern world. And that's what we're going to unpack, like exactly how.
It's amazing how these Purusharthas really offer a framework for a balanced and meaningful life. It's not about just focusing on one thing,
Right.
but recognizing all the different aspects of life, how they're interconnected.
Yeah, let's start with Dharma. It's often translated as righteousness or duty.
Right.
And while those words might sound kind of heavy,
Right.
it's really about living ethically, taking responsibility, and like just being your best self.
Exactly. Dharma goes beyond personal morality, I think. It's about recognizing, our interconnectedness, how our actions impact others in the world around us. It's about, how can I say it, acting in a way that contributes to the well-being of all.
One quote that really stuck with me is from the Manusmriti. Dharma protects those who uphold it.
Oh, that's a good one.
It suggests that ethical living not only benefits others, but also creates a kind of like protective force in our own lives.
And that protection can, manifest in so many ways. A clear conscience,
Right.
strong relationships, a sense of purpose. Imagine it as like building a solid foundation for everything else in life.
Okay, but Dharma can seem a little abstract.
It can be, yeah.
Can you break it down a bit further?
Well, think of it in 3 layers.
Okay.
First, you have Sanatana Dharma.
Okay.
Those are the universal principles, the ones that apply to everyone.
Right.
Regardless of background or beliefs, honesty, compassion, nonviolence, those are like the bedrock.
So those are the like universal ethical truths that, we could probably all agree on.
Right about the other layers.
So then there's Varnashrama Dharma,
Okay.
which focuses on duties based on your stage of life and your social role.
Right.
It acknowledges that our responsibilities evolve as we grow
Okay.
and we take on different roles in society.
That makes sense. Like what we're expected to contribute
Right.
shifts throughout our lives. So what's that final layer?
Finally, we have Svarama,
Okay.
your own unique individual duty. This one is all about self-discovery.
Oh, interesting.
What are your strengths and weaknesses?
Right.
Your passions, your purpose? How can you best contribute to the world?
It's almost like finding your own personal mission statement.
Exactly. And figuring out your Svadharma, well, that's a journey. It requires introspection,
Yeah.
reflection, and maybe even some experimentation
Right.
to figure out what truly resonates with you.
All this Dharma talk has got me thinking, how does it actually apply in the modern world?
Well, that's the exciting part.
Mm.
Take environmental consciousness, for example.
Okay, yeah. That's pure Dharma in action. We have this responsibility
Right.
to protect the planet for future generations.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing our interconnectedness with nature and acting accordingly.
And what about in the workplace? Does Dharma have a role there too?
Absolutely. Think about professional integrity.
Okay.
Being honest in your dealings,
Right.
taking pride in your work,
Yeah.
treating colleagues and clients with respect. Those are all expressions of Dharma.
But in today's competitive world, isn't there a lot of pressure to prioritize our own success? Like, what about that?
Yeah, you've hit a key challenge of modern life there, finding that balance between personal ambition and the well-being of society as a whole.
Right.
Dharma reminds us that true success isn't just about individual gain. It's about contributing to something larger than ourselves.
Okay. So we've talked about ethical living with Dharma.
Right.
Now let's move on to Artha. This is the pursuit of material prosperity.
Okay.
Do spirituality and wealth clash?
Not at all. The Vedic texts acknowledge that material security is a crucial foundation. For a stable and productive life, you need resources to meet your needs.
Right.
Support your family.
Yeah.
Contribute to your community.
Yeah. I've heard of the Arthashastra of Kautilya. Is that related to this?
Definitely. It's an ancient treatise that dives deep into wealth creation,
Okay.
resource management, and economic policy. It even has surprising relevance, I think, to modern economics and politics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So Artha isn't just about getting rich quick.
No.
It's about building wealth responsibly and using it wisely.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Artha should always be guided by Dharma.
Right.
Wealth without ethics is ultimately unsustainable and can actually create more problems than it solves.
I see a clear connection to modern ideas here. Financial literacy.
Yes.
Responsible investing.
Yeah.
Ethical business practices. These all seem like they fit under the umbrella of Artha, right?
Absolutely. It's about understanding how to create wealth in a way that benefits both yourself and others.
All right, so Dharma is the foundation of righteousness. Artha is about achieving prosperity. What's next on this roadmap to a fulfilling life?
Let's talk about Kama. This is the pursuit of pleasure and emotional well-being. Now, this one often raises eyebrows, but it's an important part of a balanced life.
Yeah, I was going to say, when people hear Kama, their minds immediately jump to the Kama Sutra.
Right, right.
But it's about so much more than that.
Yeah, it is. Think of Kama as encompassing everything that brings us joy and contentment. Sensory experiences, artistic expression, meaningful relationships, even intellectual pursuits. It's about embracing life in all its richness.
But we can't just indulge in, like, every desire that pops into our heads, can we?
You're right. It's about finding a balance.
Right.
The texts emphasize that indulging in desires should always be guided by Dharma.
Right.
It's about making choices that align with our values and lead to genuine fulfillment.
Right.
Not just fleeting pleasure.
So it's not about denying ourselves pleasure.
No.
But rather about cultivating like a healthy and balanced relationship with it. How do we do that in a world that's constantly bombarding us with messages about what should make us happy?
That's where mindfulness comes in. Imagine being present in the moment, truly savoring experiences, and appreciating the simple joys in life. That kind of mindful approach to pleasure is at the heart of Kama.
So Kama is about enjoying life to the fullest.
Yeah.
But doing so in a way that aligns with our values and doesn't lead us astray from our other goals.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where pleasure enhances our lives.
Right.
Rather than becoming a distraction or causing harm.
We've covered Dharma, Artha, and Kama.
We have.
Those seem like a pretty solid framework for living a good life in the material world.
Right.
But you mentioned a fourth Purushartha, something about liberation.
Ah, yes. Moksha. This is the ultimate goal in Vedic philosophy. It's about transcending the limitations of our ego and realizing our true nature as part of something much greater than ourselves.
Okay, I have to admit, that sounds a little deep.
It is.
What does it actually mean to achieve liberation?
Imagine breaking free from that cycle of endless desires and attachments that keep us bound to the material world.
Okay.
It's about achieving a state of profound peace.
Right.
Freedom. Yeah. And self-realization.
It's like reaching a state of complete inner peace and fulfillment.
Exactly. And it's not about, escaping from the world or denying the importance of the other Purusharthas.
Right.
It's about recognizing that true fulfillment comes from connecting with something deeper.
Yeah.
Than our limited sense of self.
There's a quote from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad that comes to mind. At manam vidi, know thyself and be free.
Oh, good one.
That quote speaks to the core of moksha, wouldn't you say?
I think so, yes.
It suggests that self-knowledge, understanding our true nature, is the key to unlocking this state of liberation.
Yes.
Okay, but achieving moksha sounds like a pretty daunting task.
Right.
How do people actually go about pursuing it?
Well, there are several paths described in the text, but the three most prominent are Jnana Yoga.
Okay.
That's the path of knowledge and wisdom.
Right.
Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion and surrender.
Okay.
And Karma Yoga, the path of selfless action.
So these paths provide different approaches to reaching the same goal of liberation.
Exactly. And while moksha might seem like a lofty concept, reserved for saints and renunciates, its principles can actually offer valuable insights for all of us.
So even if we're not seeking full-blown liberation in this lifetime, there's still ways to connect with the essence of moksha.
Yes.
And bring its wisdom into our everyday lives.
Absolutely. Even small steps towards self-awareness, detachment, and connection with something larger than ourselves.
Right.
These can have a profound impact on our well-being and our sense of purpose.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here. From the ethical foundation of Dharma to the pursuit of prosperity in Artha, the fulfillment of desires in Kama, and the ultimate liberation in Moksha.
We have.
It's amazing how these ancient principles can still offer so much guidance for navigating our modern world.
It really is. What's remarkable is how the Purusharthas offer this holistic framework.
Right.
They remind us that all aspects of life are interconnected and that finding harmony between them is key to true fulfillment.
It's like having a compass.
It is.
To help us navigate the complexities of life and make choices
Yeah.
that are aligned with our deepest values and aspirations.
Yes.
So, as we wrap up part 1 of this deep dive, we've laid the groundwork for understanding these 4 pillars of Vedic wisdom. But there's still so much more to explore. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive deeper into each Purushartha and uncover even more insights and practical applications for your modern life.
Welcome back. It's great to continue exploring the 4 Purusharthas, these ancient yet surprisingly relevant life goals. We've laid some groundwork. Now I'm eager to go a little deeper into how these concepts can actually be applied in our modern lives.
Yeah, in part 1, we defined each Purushartha: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Now, I'm curious to uncover some practical takeaways that our listeners can actually use in their own lives.
Absolutely. Let's revisit Dharma. Ethical conduct, social responsibility, and aligning with a greater cosmic order. What does that really look like day to day,
One thing that really resonated with me was this idea of svadharma, your unique individual duty. It's about understanding your strengths, weaknesses, passions, and purpose.
It's a powerful concept, isn't it? It suggests that each of us has a specific role to play, a unique contribution to make. Fulfilling that svadharma becomes a key aspect of living a dharmic life.
But how do you actually figure out what your svadharma is?
Right.
It seems like such a deep question.
There's no magic formula, but self-reflection is essential. Take the time to honestly assess your values, your skills, your passions. Ask yourself, what am I naturally drawn to? What brings me joy and a sense of purpose?
Right.
What impact do I want to have on the world?
I imagine listening to your intuition is important too, right? Those gut feelings, those inner nudges that guide us toward our true path.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to experiment. Sometimes we need to try different things, step outside of our comfort zones to discover what truly resonates with us. It might take some trial and error, but the journey itself is part of the process.
Okay, so let's say you've done the soul searching and you have a sense of your svadharma.
Yeah.
How do you actually bring it to life? It's one thing to have a noble purpose.
Right.
But putting it into action in the real world is a whole other challenge.
This is where the other Purusharthas come into play. Artha, the pursuit of material prosperity, can provide the resources and stability you need to pursue your svadharma. Kama, the fulfillment of desires, can fuel your passion and drive. And moksha, the pursuit of liberation, can help you stay grounded and focused on what truly matters.
It sounds like it's not about choosing one Purushartha over another, but about finding a balance between them, letting them work together.
Exactly. And that balance will be unique to each person. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's about finding what works for you and allows you to live authentically in alignment with your values and purpose.
That makes sense. Now, let's switch gears to Artha. We talked about how it's not just about amassing wealth,
Right.
but about using resources wisely and ethically to create prosperity for ourselves and for others. But in today's world, with so much emphasis on material success, it's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture.
It's true. The modern world can be incredibly seductive, constantly tempting us with opportunities for material gain. But the Purusharthas remind us that true prosperity is about more than just a big bank account. It's about cultivating abundance in all areas of life, your relationships, your health, your well-being, and your spiritual growth.
I love that perspective. It's not about denying ourselves material comforts, but about understanding that true wealth encompasses so much more.
Precisely. And a key to achieving that balance is cultivating contentment. It's about appreciating what you have rather than constantly striving for more. It doesn't mean you can't have goals and aspirations, but it's about approaching them from a place of gratitude and inner peace rather than a sense of lack.
That's so important. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparison.
It is.
Feeling like we're not enough.
Yes.
Because we don't have what someone else has.
Yes.
But contentment is about shifting our focus to what we are grateful for.
And that shift in perspective can be incredibly freeing. It releases you from that constant pressure to acquire more and allows you to focus on what truly matters, nurturing meaningful relationships, pursuing your passions, and making a positive contribution to the world.
Now let's move on to Kama, the pursuit of pleasure and emotional fulfillment. This one feels particularly tricky in our modern world, where we're bombarded with messages equating happiness with external things, possessions, status, achievements.
You're right. We're constantly told that we need certain products or experiences to be happy. But the Purusharthas offer a different perspective. True happiness comes from within.
Right.
It's about cultivating inner peace and contentment, regardless of external circumstances.
So it's not about denying ourselves the pleasures of life, but about approaching them with a sense of mindfulness and moderation.
Exactly. The key is finding that sweet spot where we can experience joy and fulfillment without getting attached to those fleeting pleasures, or letting them distract us from our higher purpose.
Do you have any practical tips for cultivating a healthy relationship with karma in our, modern lives?
Gratitude is a powerful practice. Take time each day to appreciate the good things in your life, your health, your loved ones, the beauty of nature. Shifting your focus from what you lack to what you already have can lead to a much deeper sense of contentment and joy.
That makes sense. And we've talked about mindfulness in other contexts, but I imagine it's especially relevant here.
Absolutely. Mindfulness is about being fully present in each moment, savoring experiences and appreciating the simple joys in life, paying attention to your senses, your emotions, your thoughts without judgment.
Yeah.
This can help you experience pleasure more fully and avoid getting caught in cravings or attachments.
It's about being intentional with our experiences.
Yes.
Rather than just mindlessly consuming.
Right.
Or chasing those fleeting pleasures.
Exactly. And another powerful practice is setting healthy boundaries. In today's world, it's easy to get overwhelmed by stimulation and demands on our time and energy. Setting boundaries around work, technology use, and social commitments can create space to reconnect with yourself.
Right.
Recharge and engage in activities that bring you genuine joy.
So it's about recognizing our limits.
Yes.
And making choices that align with our well-being.
Right.
Even if it means saying no to things that might seem tempting on the surface.
Right. It's about prioritizing long-term happiness and fulfillment.
Right.
Over short-term gratification.
Now let's talk about moksha, the pursuit of liberation.
Okay.
This is the ultimate goal. But it can also seem the most elusive and abstract. How can we connect with this concept in a way that feels relevant to our everyday lives?
That's a great question. Moksha is often described as liberation from the cycle of birth and rebirth, or samsara. It's about transcending our ego and realizing our true nature as part of something much vaster than ourselves.
And while that might sound lofty, reserved for spiritual masters, there are actually many practices that can help us cultivate a sense of liberation even amidst the busyness of modern life.
Definitely.
Right?
Meditation is one powerful practice. Taking even a few minutes each day to quiet the mind and connect with your inner stillness can help you detach from that constant chatter of thoughts and experience a sense of peace and spaciousness that's incredibly liberating.
I've heard that meditation can be tough at first, especially for those of us used to our minds racing all the time. Any tips for beginners?
Don't get caught up in trying to do it perfectly. Just be present with whatever arises. Thoughts, feelings, sensations, without judgment. Observe them come and go like clouds passing through the sky. Experiment with different types of meditation. Guided meditations can be a great starting point. And find what works for you.
And what about yoga? I know it's often presented as a path to liberation. How does that connect to moksha?
Yoga, in its traditional sense, is far more than just physical postures.
Right.
It's a holistic system encompassing ethical principles, breathing techniques, meditation, and ultimately aims to unite the body, mind, and spirit.
So through yoga, we can cultivate a deeper connection to ourselves, transcend limitations, and experience a sense of union with something greater.
Exactly. And that sense of union, that feeling of interconnectedness, is at the very heart of moksha.
Now, another practice often associated with moksha is selfless service, or karma yoga. How does that fit into the picture?
Karma yoga is about acting without attachment to the results of your actions. It's about acting from a place of love and compassion, without expecting anything in return. It frees us from the ego's grip on our actions, and allows us to experience the joy of giving, without any strings attached.
So it's about shifting from what's in it for me to how can I serve?
Yes.
And letting go of the need to control outcomes.
Precisely. And that shift can be incredibly transformative. It allows you to tap into a deeper sense of purpose and meaning, knowing that your actions are contributing to something larger than yourself.
This brings us back to the interconnectedness of all four Purusharthas.
It does.
They aren't separate goals to be pursued in isolation, but rather facets of a holistic approach to a meaningful life.
Exactly. Dharma lays the ethical foundation. Artha provides resources and stability. Kama provides joy and fulfillment. And Moksha reminds us of the bigger picture, the ultimate goal of liberation. They work together to create a fulfilling and meaningful life.
It's like a beautifully woven tapestry.
Yes.
Each thread contributing to the overall strength and beauty of the fabric.
And as we continue our journey through life, we can keep returning to these four principles, using them as guideposts to help us navigate challenges, make choices that align with our values, and ultimately create a life that is both meaningful and fulfilling. We'll explore that further in part 3.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the Four Purusharthas. We've explored Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, and how they can, guide us towards a balanced and fulfilling life. But let's be honest, putting these ancient principles into practice in the real world, especially today's world, isn't always a walk in the park.
You're right. The modern world is full of complexities and distractions and pressures that can pull us away from, our deeper values and aspirations. It's easy to get swept up in the current and just lose sight of what truly matters.
So what are some of the biggest challenges we face when we're trying to live in alignment with the Purusharthas in today's world?
I think one of the biggest hurdles is just the constant barrage of information and stimulation we're exposed to. Technology keeps us connected 24/7, and it's hard to disconnect and find that time and space for quiet reflection, which is so crucial for cultivating that inner peace and clarity that the Purusharthas emphasize.
Because our minds are always racing, jumping from one thing to the next.
Right.
It's hard to find that stillness and presence that's needed to connect with ourselves and make choices that truly align with our values.
Exactly. And this constant distraction, well, it can make it difficult to prioritize what truly matters, our relationships, our well-being, our spiritual growth. We can get caught up in the pursuit of external validation, material possessions, and fleeting pleasures, and lose sight of those deeper sources of fulfillment that the Purusharthas point us towards.
So how do we navigate this modern world without getting completely swept away by the current? How do we stay grounded in these timeless principles amidst all the chaos and complexity?
It takes effort, but it's definitely possible. One key is cultivating mindfulness, which we've touched on a bit throughout our conversation. It's about bringing awareness to the present moment, noticing our thoughts, our feelings, and sensations without judgment. It's about choosing to focus on what's happening right now, rather than getting lost in worries about the future or regrets about the past.
It's like creating space between ourselves and our reactions, becoming more conscious of our choices and the motivations behind them.
Exactly. The more we practice mindfulness, the more we start to recognize those patterns in our thinking and behavior, and the more we can make choices that are aligned with our values and aspirations.
Which brings us back to the importance of self-reflection.
Right.
We need to take that time to really examine our lives, our values, our goals, and make sure they're in sync with the principles we want to embody.
Absolutely. Self-reflection is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. We need to keep checking in with ourselves, asking questions, and making adjustments as needed. Life is constantly changing.
Right.
And so are we. What worked for us in the past might not be serving us now.
Right.
We need to be willing to adapt and evolve.
They can be challenging, though, right? Sometimes we get attached to certain ideas about ourselves or certain ways of doing things, and it can be hard to let go, even if those things are no longer serving us.
That's true. Change can be uncomfortable, but it's also an opportunity for growth. When we let go of old patterns and embrace new possibilities, well, we open ourselves up to a whole new level of fulfillment and joy.
We've talked about the challenges of integrating the Purusharthas into our modern lives. But what about the rewards? What are some of the benefits we can experience when we make a conscious effort to live by these principles?
One of the biggest rewards is a deep sense of purpose and meaning. When we live in alignment with our values and aspirations, when we feel like we're contributing to something larger than ourselves, well, we experience a profound satisfaction and fulfillment that you just can't find in external things.
It's like we're tapping into a wellspring of motivation and inspiration that comes from within, rather than relying on external sources for validation or happiness.
Exactly. And that inner sense of purpose can be incredibly empowering. It gives you that strength and resilience to face challenges, overcome obstacles, and just keep moving forward, even when things get tough.
And I imagine it also has a positive impact on our relationships.
It does.
When we're grounded in our values, we're living with integrity and authenticity, we attract people who resonate with those same qualities.
Absolutely. Authenticity is magnetic. When you're true to yourself, when you're not trying to be someone you're not, you radiate a certain confidence and inner peace that draws people to you. And the relationships you form are built on a foundation of trust, respect, and understanding.
What about our overall well-being? Does aligning ourselves with the Purusharthas have a positive impact on our physical, emotional, and mental health?
It definitely can. When you're living in a way that nourishes your soul, pursuing your passions, connecting with others, and contributing to something larger than yourself, it creates this sense of harmony and balance that impacts every aspect of your being.
It's like all the different parts of ourselves, our body, our mind, and spirit, are all working together in sync, creating a state of well-being that goes beyond just the absence of illness or stress.
Exactly. It's about feeling alive, vibrant, connected to the world around you. It's about experiencing joy, gratitude, and a deep sense of peace and contentment.
So even though integrating the Purusharthas into our modern lives can be challenging, it sounds like the rewards are well worth the effort.
I truly believe so. It's a journey of self-discovery, growth, and a deeper sense of fulfillment and meaning. And remember, you don't have to go it alone. There are so many resources available to support you. Teachers, mentors, communities, books, practices. The key is to be open to learning, experimenting, and finding what works for you.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Four Purusharthas, I am left with a sense of inspiration and